Hi, and welcome to 30 Days of Brave Thinking. I'm Mary Morrissey, and today I'm offering you a gift that will help you stay calm, help you discover that even during very, very turbulent times, you have a power in you that you can actually call upon, and instead of being taken down by a difficult time, you can actually find a way to have this be one of the most empowering times of your life. So it's completely free. It's the fruit of many, many years of study of transformation, and I'm giving it to you. For 40 years, my mission has been in helping people, empowering people, and training people in how to have a mindset that's a match to the results they want to have in their lives, how to move results from one set of results to another set of results that are more empowering, more life-giving, more fruitful for them, for their families, for their workplace, and literally for our world. And it works. I've been working with this for my entire life, helping tens of thousands of people all over the world, and especially in difficult moments like this one. I believe that the right thing to do is give everything I can give you completely free here. And in 30 days, you can establish a set point, a mindset point, and a way of understanding how you can use even the most difficult times in your life to actually help you catapult your life forward. Not because so much of the difficult time or in spite of it, but because of how you went through the difficult time. And if you just keep breathing, you're going to create results anyway. And since we're in this difficult time, why not use it to the benefit of you, your dreams, the impact you can bring, and the difference you can offer? So I'm happy to make this offer to you. It's completely free. To support you today, I'm going to share a short video clip from my signature training program, Brave Thinking Masters. That's one of my highest level coaching programs where I train clients, students in embodying the principles of brave thinking. You're going to have a thinking. You don't get to not have a mindset. You don't get to not think. And those thoughts have a pattern to them, a vibration to them, and they must and do yield results. So we want to use that thinking in constructive ways with some simple and highly effective tools for how to do that. So today, I offer you this wonderful clip, and I know it will serve you. Thanks for being here. So before we begin, take a deep breath. Take another one. Bring yourself into the present moment. Stay inside this day and inside this present moment. Make sure your notifications, your pings and dings that might come to you through your technology are shut off. So much coming at us. Let's take some moments now and turn to what's seeking to emerge to us and through us. Let's begin. Welcome to your Brave Thinking Masters class. Mary Morrissey here, and thrilled to be with you. Life, seeking to express itself uniquely, as unique as your thumbprint, your soul print. No one cares exactly about the same things you care about. No one feels that pull of becoming, to become exactly what it is you. Don't ask somebody else if you should build your dream, or what do they think of your dream. They don't know, because that dream wasn't given to them. It was given to you. So, and it's a sacred experience. Dream building is what we do. Brave thinking is how we're doing it. So how to assume the best in any situation. Our objective tonight is to recognize that an assumption can either be expansive or contractive, depending on the perception and the reason we bring to that assumption, and how we can train ourselves to use the power of assumption for our own growth, for the greater good, and actually to accelerate our ability to translate our dreams right into our results. So most often, assume is a verb. And the challenge, of course, is that it can happen so fast. This month, we're focusing on belief and awareness. Your ability to translate your vision into your life has everything to do with the lens of awareness you bring in the moment you're in. An assumption, how we use assumption, has everything to do with expanding or contracting our ability to have our dreams easily and quickly. So the definition of assume as a verb is to think that something must be true but have no actual proof. When Newton saw the apple drop and began to talk about something, about an invisible something that would become known as gravity, and he began to talk about that, he was imprisoned. When Copernicus said, perhaps the sun doesn't go around the earth goes around the sun, he was imprisoned for that idea. So we can get very, very married to our assumptions and believe in them as if they're true, including this one, that the world is flat. Just about 500 years ago, and for all those tens of thousands of years, humans operated as if the world were flat. We assumed it was flat because you could literally, your reason, your deductive reason, you looked out there and you could see the edge. I mean, for God's sake, don't go out there. You're going to fall off the edge, because they didn't understand an invisible something they couldn't see, a law called gravity. It didn't matter if you were on the top or the bottom or the side or the edge, whatever it was, there was a pole that kept us connected to this earth, a magnetic pole, gravity. So now the question is, where are the assumptions at work in my life? Where are they that are actually operating as if they're true, but they're simply not true? And how do I use the power of assumption constructively? So this is a true story about a mom who used to come to my church many, many years ago, pregnant with her third baby. And she was having some challenges in that pregnancy. And so she spent some weeks where she was supposed to be down a lot of the time, weeks on the couch, weeks in bed. And so she decided to use that time constructively. And she decided to create an amazing quilt of the family and an image of a baby to welcome the new baby into this family. And she had little kids, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and now she's pregnant with her third child. She finishes the quilt and she hangs it on a dowel on the back of her couch, just lays it there while she's making dinner that night and getting ready, and the kids are playing. And when she comes out around after the dinner and she comes to go pick up the quilt to hang it, on one corner of that quilt in green felt pen is all this messy green mark. And it's permanent ink with this felt pen on the quilt she has spent weeks and weeks putting together with pictures of the family and all of this. And she's just like, why would you do this? Which one of you would do something like this? You saw mommy for weeks and weeks and weeks put energy into that. And now you go put this scribble. Which one of you did that? And the older 5 or 6-year-old raises his hand and says, I did that. Mommy, I'm sorry. Just why would you do that? Why would you do that? He says, because it was so good. I wanted to give you a green star like my teacher gives me. Because it was so good, I wanted to give you a green star like mommy, my teacher gives me. She said, when he said that, she sat down, hugged him, and said, I will forever be happy about that green star. So, not all of those go that well when we assume someone did something. Even if he said the green star, she might not have been so skillful as to say, I will forever be happy about that green star. Part of her might have been more attached to having the quilt the way she made it. So why we want to, so many of our relationships that go sideways come apart because of assumptions that we make about someone's intention, about someone's meaning, about when we see something about what it actually means. So we're going to find the green stars particularly as we focus on this week. Assumptions can create separation. And it's interesting because the separation isn't always just with other people, it's with our dreams. It's with our self-esteem. It's with our ability to discern and know. So we're going to examine our assumptions. Years ago, I brought a man to do a workshop for me, a weekend workshop in the work I was doing, a man named Don Miguel Ruiz, a Toltec native from Mexico. Beautiful man, beautiful philosophies. In his book, The 4 Agreements, 4 simple agreements that those of us that did Pinnacle in May, we focused on these. So here's our 4 simple agreements. Number 1, be impeccable with your word. In the beginning is the word. The word has a vibration to it. So we remove, and you, as a brave thinker, we're not saying I can't, I should, I must, I have to. We're saying I can, I choose to, I choose not to. It's not that I can't, I choose not to. It's not that I can't afford, I'm deciding not to spend that money now. I'm not investing now. That you get to live in the power of the word you speak. Second one, not so easy. Don't take things personally. Don't take it personally. One of the things that backs that up is don't make assumptions. Ask questions and always do your best. So don't make assumptions, which is the 3rd agreement. And he says we have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. Problem with making assumptions is that we believe they're the truth. We could actually swear those assumptions are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. And then we can take it, that assumption, we can take it personally. And then with that assumption that we've now taken personally, then we can blame them. And we can react to them by sending emotional poison with our word or energy. We move into contraction. You did that on purpose. You did that to hurt me. You did. How do we know these things? We're making it up. A part of us feels that way. So then we project that onto someone else. That is not what brave thinkers, and certainly what brave thinking masters do. So the way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. An idea comes up and flashes across the screen of your mind as a truth. You did that to hurt me. Are you just trying to get me? Or you're trying to, whatever you think, it's when you're in a contractive assumption, then ask a question. Just make sure the communication is clear. So part of me is wondering if you did that to hurt me. Part of me is wondering if. And you can ask a question. Don't say you did this as a living fact. Ask a question. Part of you is wondering if you don't care. Part of me is wondering. There's a real power in asking the question using that term, part of me is wondering. So when you have a failure in your life, what do you tend to assume that failure means? So for a moment, think into one of your failures. We all have had failure. I mean, failure is part of the human condition. You failed to learn to walk the first time you took your first 2 steps. And the thing is, even as we get in adult bodies, we have sometimes little and sometimes much bigger failures. So when you fail, what do you tend to assume that failure means? Well, one of our brave thinkers who watches Brave Thinking with his mom, so he created a picture, a poster, and he brought it to his mom and he said, would you show this to Mary? Because I learned this by coming to Brave Thinking. And I think he has said this. His name is Liam. And I think Liam, who is 11, has said what I'm going to show you now. I think he said it actually better than I've ever said it. When you fail, what do you tend to assume that failure means? When you fail, it's a way to show you tried. Liam Reed. Liam, if you're watching this, I love that. When you fail, it's simply a way to show that you tried. And by the failure, you can learn what worked and what didn't work in that. And then you can try. You can go after it again. When you fail, it's a way to show you tried. Share a story with you in my personal life about assumption. I mean, I could tell tons of stories, but this one stayed with me. Years and years ago, when my kid's dad and I, his name is Haven, he and I were married 27 years, have 4 amazing kids that we birthed together. We made a decision to go to Phoenix, Arizona for that seminary. I got a teaching job there. He got another job. In his job, in a sales job, he was so successful that he won a 3-day trip to Las Vegas for us. Now we were young. We had 2 little kids. They were 5 and 6 at this point, the boys, and so it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so I got the day off. I took a personal leave day from my teaching position. We left on the Friday morning. We had a Ford Pinto station wagon, yellow. Some of you remember that, kind of a yellow gold color. And so here we were, and we had someone in the church who at the seminary we were going to offered to watch the boys for the weekend. So here we were off on this 2-day couples adventure. And we go to Las Vegas when we stay in because he'd won this big sales contest. It was an all expense paid at the Tropicana, and there was a show, and there was money in the account to buy food with, and just have a great weekend. So I remember something we'd never done before at a hotel, order breakfast in bed. And so we had this great weekend, and then it's Sunday and it's time to go back. It's afternoon, and we get in the car and we drive over to Hoover Dam. And he's getting really tired. I said, well, I'm not tired, I'll drive. And because it was a Pinto station wagon, you could put the back seat down and form it. And we had a couple of sleeping bags. So he, laid out the sleeping bags, creating a soft spot for him to lay down, had a pillow, he went to sleep. So from Hoover Dam to a place called Kingman, Arizona, it's about an hour's drive. So I'm driving that whole hour. It's quiet in the car, and I'm just thinking about what a great weekend we've had and all the many wonderful things that are happening in our lives, and how grateful I am to be studying all these amazing studying with Raymond Hollowell. I'm like sitting at his feet for 2 full years and studying with the people he brings in. Maxwell Maltz, who wrote Psycho-Cybernetics and the Magic Power of Self-Image Psychology, and on, studying with these people who are writing these books that I bring to you, many of them. And so it comes into Kingman, and I decided to stop at a gas station and run in and go to the restroom. So as I pull in and I stop, I hear him stirring, and I said, I'm going to go in and go to the bathroom. You want to go to the restroom? And he says, no, I'm fine. I'm going to sleep. So I go in, go to the bathroom, come out, walk around the front of the car, get in the car and drive. And I drive, and they had just changed the speed limit from 70 to 55. And all of us who were used to driving 70, 75 for years, it feels like you're driving slow at 55. So I'm keeping myself in the speed limit, driving 55. So it takes about an hour to get to the next town, 50 miles away. And I'm taking the off ramp, and I said, I'm going to stop and get something to eat. I think you should wake up. Come in. We're going to go in and get something to eat. Dead silence. Wake up, wake up. We're going to go in to get something to eat. I don't hear anything. I turn around and look. He's not in the car. The first thought I thought was, oh my God, the back must have opened up and he slipped out somewhere on the freeway. And no, that didn't happen. The trunk's closed right now. And all of a sudden I realized, oh my gosh, back at the Kingman in that gas station, I bet when I was out going to the bathroom, and then I came around the front and just got in, that he had gone to the bathroom, and I didn't even look. I just assumed he was in the car. We didn't have cell phones. I didn't know the name of the gas station. I just knew where it was. So I got back in the car and I drove another hour back. So it was 2 hours from the time I left to the time I came back. He was sitting on the curb there waiting. And I said, oh, I am so sorry. I didn't look. I just assumed you were in the back of the car. And he was really mellow about it. He said, yeah, it just happens. Stuff happens. And we had been looking forward to getting home, getting the boys, and now we're going to be home 2 hours later than we thought. But, it was what it was, and we're studying positive thinking, and so we go home. Then the next year, just as I'm graduating from seminary, Jen is born. Now we have our girl, and we're going to head back to Oregon, which we do. And the following year, there's going to be a gathering, a seminar that's happening in Phoenix, and I'm going to be delivering a very small part as one of my first entrees into being accepted into that level of colleague, and I'm going to do a meditation. So we drive all the way to Phoenix for that. So as we're coming, we drive all night through Las Vegas, and dawn is happening, and we drive across the Hoover Dam from Oregon on our way to Phoenix, and we drive across and we go to Kingman. And we decided to stop and have breakfast. And while we're having breakfast, I started noticing how irritable he is, and quick and grouchy. And finally I said, we were having a great time on this drive. I mean, what's going on with you? And then he says, I don't think I ever told you how really mad I was sitting on that curb waiting for you. I was thinking, well, I was in the bathroom, and I heard the car start up. So I'm zipping my pants as fast as I can and running out there, and you're off. I can see the car. I can see you driving the car, and you're gone. You don't look in the rearview mirror once, and you're just gone. And then I think, well, 5 minutes, she's going to notice. It'll take her 10 minutes. 10 minutes, she'll be back here. And 10 minutes came and went. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if she drives for 10 minutes, it'll take 20 minutes. 20 minutes came. And I kept thinking that, well, if a half an hour, if she notices I'm not in the car, it'll take an hour for her to get back. 2 hours, you finally show up. And what I realized was an interesting thing, and I think it's true for all of us, and over the many years since then. So this is I graduated in 1975, so it was 1976 or 7. So it's been a long time, 40 years. But I learned that in that moment, you can bury a stick, you can bury a can, you can bury a bone, but you can't bury a worm. And feelings are like worms. They are going to find a way out. So here, he didn't say anything. He was being it's all okay when I picked him up after that 2 hours. 2 later, inside, going back to Kingman, Arizona, the stimulus of being in that same place, just that poked right at that place in him that had been storing some hurt and anger, that I would drive away, not notice, drive for an hour before I even noticed. And I could have driven all the way to Phoenix because I was just in the silence and I was assuming he was there. So, we laughed about it over time. That became something. I was grateful for the lesson that if we don't really express our true and authentic feelings in the moment without blame, without assuming somebody set out to hurt us or abandon us or leave us behind. He knew that I didn't mean to leave him behind, but also he knew that I wasn't aware enough to look, that I just walked out, just drove away in assumption that he was where I thought he was. So there was learning, of course, in all of that. But the idea that you can bury physical things, but you can't bury emotions. So in the positive use of assumption, my highest recommendation to you, brave thinker, is this: assume the best. Assume a positive intention in every action from yourself and in every action of other people. Assume a positive intent. You will have a part of you that will not believe this was a positive intent. But if you practice assuming that there was a positive intent, what happens is you move up the ladder of awareness. Because ultimately, even when we are very unskillful in the way we're doing something, we're trying to achieve something more for ourselves. We're trying to feel better. We're trying to feel more of who we're capable of being, even when we're gossiping about somebody else. It doesn't work. It ultimately doesn't make you feel better about yourself, but it can give you that momentary kind of, and you see it in families where people, collude and gossip about each other. Brave thinkers completely free themselves from that. Brave thinkers know that if you assume a positive intent, you find positive intent. And know also that with the circle of our awareness is exactly commensurate to the circle of good that we can welcome and allow in our lives. So brave thinkers, practice releasing negative assumptions, contractive assumptions, blaming assumptions, critical assumptions, and replacing those with positive assumptions, life connecting assumptions. This is exactly what Neville Goddard is saying in The Power of Awareness. Assumption. This definition is the verb is to take upon oneself, to become, to assume. You assume being the person who's living the life you've imagined. You assume walking the way that person walks. You assume the thoughts that the person who's living the life you've imagined thinks. There is a power in assumption. You assume that even when it doesn't look like anything's moving right now in your life, that this is simply what it looks like while your vision, is all coming together. You assume that there is a presence and a power in the universe and an intelligence, an infinite intelligence that is ever seeking for the expansion of itself by means of itself, and that means you. That it's leaning in the favor of your good. It's leaning in the favor of your growth. You have to work very hard actually to stop it, to block it. And even then it'll press right through you to form a symptom or a sign of unlived life. So you assume a positive intent and you assume becoming the energy of the person, the life that you're imagining. This kind of the use of power of assumption creates connection. And I'm not just talking about other people. I'm talking about connection between you and the vibration that's harmonious with the vision you're holding. So take a breath with me. Assume it's all going to work out for you. Assume that you don't have to figure this all out. Assume that your job is to do one day at a time, holding your image, being a person of increase. Right now, the law of increase is the law that we're focusing on, bringing increase wherever we are, being positive, looking for the good, assuming that there is good, and we're going to find it, even when it might be a little difficult to dig through and hunt for, but we are going to find the good. Power of assumption. In the power of assumption, you must make your future dream a present fact. And the first place you do that is in your energy. I know not all of you have been to a Dream Builder Live yet, but most of you have. And at Dream Builder Live, the the simplest and most effective technology we have. Well, let me just say one of the most effective technologies we have for living into this is the activity we call time machine. Where you take some moments that we do together and we vision what your life would be like exactly if it was a life you absolutely loved. What would be happening in your health? What would be happening in your relationships? What would be happening in the work that you're doing or the hobby you're delivering? It doesn't mean you have to earn income. And what's happening in your time and money freedom. What's happening in your time and money freedom. You put that on. You begin to just act as if it's so. You get in an exercise, we turn around ourselves and we pretend that it's 3 years from the date that it's happening in the ballroom. And you watch people and we'd say, we're going to just step into this self, into this state and into this place of 2022, if it's 3 years from now, or 2025, whenever it's 3 years from where you're standing. And you discover that you have the capability of absolutely doing that, of stepping into that state and speaking from that state as if it's absolutely true. And you feel a release of energy. And if you've ever been in the Dream Builder Live room, when that happens, there's this true release of energy that you can feel in the room as people step into their future selves. They step into this and speak of it as if it's real. You must make your future dream a present fact. And so you bring it into the here and now. And it's a fact first, because everything's created twice, first in thought and then in form. And the first place thought moves is in our energy. It moves into the emotion, the energy in motion. You're sending signals to every electron in the entire universe. And it's organizing patterns. If things are beginning, you can't even begin to know how it's ordered. Surprise support, help, things you can't even begin to imagine are being ordered by the frequency and the power of the frequency. It's just kind of sort of, you're going to have kind of sort of results. But if you're strong on that, you must make your future dream a present fact. And you do this by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. So we stand there, we do that, but you're not going to be in the Dream Builder Live room all the time. So now it's time to take this home and make this yours. You must make your future dream a present fact. That brings order. Everything on that frequency begins to order itself. You do this by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Let's do that right now. It all worked out. It all worked out. 3 years from now, the person who's living that life, what are they thinking and how are they feeling? How are they feeling? You can create an ideal of the person you want to be and assume that you are already that person, the positive use of assumption. First of all, you can assume that you are already that person because the idea of being that person came to you. You have a connection with that. You couldn't even think the thought if you didn't have a connection to it. It wouldn't exist for you. It exists for you because you can think the thought. So make sure you hear me on that. The very fact that you think the thought of being that person means you have a connection to it, positive or negative. If you think the thought, I'm the person who can't have that, you have a connection to the reality that I can't have that. If you think the thought, I am the person who can have that, you're connected to the reality where you can have that. And you want to move that from I'm the person who can have it to I'm the person who does have it. You don't want to just can have it. You want to be the person who does have it. So you up-level that. Power of assumption. You know a thing mentally by looking at it from the outside, by comparing it with other things, by analyzing it and defining it, whereas you could know a thing spiritually only by becoming it. You know a thing mentally by looking at it from the outside. Ordinary reason, by comparing it with other things, analyzing it, defining it. Whereas you know a thing spiritually, you are more than just a mental being, and you're certainly more than a human being, you're a spiritual being. And you can know a thing spiritually by becoming it, becoming one with that state. You must be the thing itself, not merely talk about it or look at it. So that takes practice. It takes embodiment. the embodiment of being the one who's living the life you've imagined. And that comes with repetition. You're going to think anyway. You're going to practice being somebody today anyway. Who are you being today? Why not take on the assumptive practice of being the person who's living the life you've imagined? That's what Thoreau says. When one can sing praises in the face of adversity, the adversity will soon disappear. This is not a promise, this is a law. Raymond Hollowell. When one can sing praises in the face of adversity, the adversity will soon disappear. It's not a promise, this is a law. Because look at the word praise. See the word raise? Praises, raises. You raise your vibration when you're looking for the good, giving thanks, even in circumstances that you're not happy about. You don't want those circumstances. But you're still looking for the good. You're assuming that somehow in the pattern of your life, this thing that is so difficult is part of a piece of a puzzle that is your life. That's a required piece. Now, if we each knew that to be true, when we're in a dark place, we could easily sing praises in the face of adversity. And knowing that that adversity is here to help us transform into another larger layer expression of ourselves and into our lives. Not so easy when you're in it. I know that. Not so easy. But every person, I have not ever worked, I've worked with thousands of people. I've never worked with somebody who had cancer that didn't later say, I would not have wanted that cancer, but I want for everyone where it took me. I am so grateful for where it took me. In this life, there is light and dark in the human experience, but there is a light in which there is no darkness. And that is a light of awareness. There is a love in which there is no hate. And you can have a conditional love and a conditional hate. You can have conditional assumption and conditional ways of saying things, or you can choose to be a brave thinker. Napoleon Hill said, every adversity has within it the seed of an equal, every adversity, every sorrow has within it the seed of an equal, every heartbreak has within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. But like any seed, it has to be found and planted, nourished and grown and harvested. And we do that by assuming the best. We're going to exercise our muscles this week in being a person who actually practices assuming the best, not because it's easy, but in the places where it hasn't been easy in our lives right now. Learn to render praise. Be thankful for the good at hand, and you'll have found the magic lamp of spirit. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And the energy we're running either has a contractive pull to it or an evolutionary pull. You're either going to feel yourself contracted or feel yourself expanded. And as a being now, a brave thinking master who is using your fundamental life mastery tool of noticing what you're noticing your longing, noticing your discontent, noticing what you're noticing for the purpose of noticing when you're in an expansive thought, action, activity, and when you're in a contractive thought, action, or activity. And you can ask yourself, when you start to feel contracted, it's like, what was I thinking? What was I talking about? What was I reading? What was I listening to? And know that you can change that. You can immediately move to giving thanks. You can move to gratitude. You can move to another frequency. Dial down the fear and dial up the love. I was reminded recently, and I may have mentioned this to you last week, I'm not sure, about having been on stage with a man named David Hawkins. Dr. Day, a couple of different times, he and I did presentations together. Dr. Hawkins wrote a wonderful book called Power versus Force. It's wonderful in some ways, and it's very dense in other ways, but I'll give you the crux of it. He was a researcher into human dynamics and began to lay down what he considered to be accurate. There's some dispute about the accuracy of the exact numbers, but I don't think there's any dispute that when you are vibrating at the frequency of shame, you feel contracted. When you're vibrating at the frequency of fear, you're contracted. When you're vibrating at the frequency of guilt, you're contracted. So he laid out what he believed were calibrations for each one of these vibratory emotions or states of being. And he believed that the lowest frequency humans operate at is the frequency of shame. So he gave that 20 hertz. Guilt, 30, apathy, 50, grief, 75. And as he moved up the ladder, it was all many, many, many different states of emotion up to the frequency. There's 900, which is enlightenment. But love vibrates at 500. Love vibrates at 500. The world does not vibrate at 500. And no one has real growth until they get to at least 200. And as you're doing, dream building is what you're doing, brave thinking is how we're doing it, you're raising your normal set point. You're going up into higher frequencies. Your dream life is on the frequency of what you love. So the practices I'm giving you help you become more solid state on the frequency of love, which is a match to the very dream you're holding for yourself. You cannot vibrate at a large number of fear vibrations and have what you love be your life. We have to shift from that. One of the doorways into this, one of the keys into this is to watch your assumptions. Watch the number of assumptions that are operating, that are contractive, and go after them, assuming the best. Risk this week. This is going to be a great week for you. Risk this week thinking, I can't quite see how all the puzzle pieces are coming together right now, but I'm going to keep holding my vision, coming from my vision, believing in absolutely that there is a power and a presence who's got my back, who has sent me the signals of life, a greater and greater life. So I wish you a wonderful, wonderful week, brave thinker. So feel a big, big hug from Mary Morrissey. This is our week to notice our assumptions when they're positive and expansive, and when we're using the same power to move into contraction and shift that up. Okay. All right. Have a great, great week. And now, if you would love even more support in embodying brave thinking in these challenging times, I have a gift for you. Click below, and you're going to have an opportunity to receive from me 30 days of daily videos from me for 30 days, helping you stay in a mindset of uplifting thoughts, choosing that day what you can do. I will give you a 5-minute personalized video for you for that specific day of this 30-day program in learning how to establish a set point in your normal thought pattern of being a brave thinker instead of dealing with everything coming at you. You will get through this time, but who you become at the end of this and what your conditions are and whether you've grown through this time or just barely gritted your teeth to get through it will have everything to do with your thinking. So my gift to you is 30 days of training. It just takes 5 minutes in the morning. You're going to have a mindset on anyway. You don't get to not think. Why not think from a vibration that actually takes you where you want to go instead of just barely getting by and reacting to the circumstances we have? So for the next 30 days, I'll send you a 3 to 5 minute video, simple, highly effective steps that you can apply that day to making that day the best day you can have, even in the midst of difficult times. There's no sales pitch in this. There's no hook. It's just a gift from me. And I'm happy to do it at this time particularly. So it's something I've been helping clients with for many, many decades. And I'm just giving it away now. So I'm happy to do that, and I hope you will avail yourself of it. And then if you want to give it to somebody else, feel free to do that right now. That's what we're doing. So, and you can leave any question you want in the comment section below. So I love hearing from you. Did you enjoy this? What helped you? What would you like more of? How you doing right now? What else can I help you with? So until tomorrow, feel a big, big hug from Mary Morrissey.